Well, hello, my valued listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Living in Your Power. I'm your host, Dr. Marleen Greenleaf, and it's hard to believe, but we are in our final week of February, and we're wrapping up our theme of love and connection. This month, we've explored embracing love in all its forms: self-love, connection with others, leadership, and resilience. So for today's episode, I want to reflect on what we've discussed, but also take it a step further, staying motivated in difficult times, finding hope, showing kindness, and making space for ourselves. Today, we'll touch on staying hopeful and motivated, especially for our federal workers who have been facing uncertainty but are finally seeing some light. The need for kindness in our nation and from our leaders. My personal journey of being more intentional about observing the Sabbath and what it has meant for me and how I'm reclaiming my time. And what's next? Our theme for March is celebrating Women's Month and expanding the podcast to include interviews with inspiring women. So let's dive in. Let's start with something that has been heavy on my heart. And I know, I'm positive it's the same for you, discussing our federal workers. This has been a difficult season for them, but it finally seems like some hope is on the horizon. Policies are shifting, and while challenges remain, there is progress. But motivation during uncertain times isn't easy. When stability feels out of reach, it's natural to feel discouraged. So here's my encouragement for those still facing difficulties. I want you to hold on to hope. Even small signs of progress matters. Take care of your well-being. Stress is real, so find moments of peace, even in the storm. And surround yourself with positivity. Stay connected to those who uplift you. Always. And if you are listening and have a friend, loved one, or colleague who is struggling, please reach out. Sometimes just a kind word can make all the difference. Now, this leads me to something we don't talk about enough. The need for kindness, especially among our leaders. We are at a critical moment in our nation. Decisions are being made that affect people's lives and their livelihood. And while leadership requires tough choices, it should also require compassion and empathy. So I pose this question. What would it look like if our leaders led with love and connection instead of division? How can we as individuals be the kindness we want to see in our leaders and others? Because the truth is, change starts with us. So today I challenge you, be intentional about speaking kindness, whether it's at work, in your community, or even in a simple conversation. Choose love over frustration. Now, on a personal note, I want to share something that has been deeply transformative for me. For a long time, I let work take over my weekends. I was always on emails, social media, catching up on things I didn't finish during the week on my Sabbath. But in the past few weeks, I've been intentional about reclaiming my time and fully observing the Sabbath from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. Now, what has this meant for me? It means shutting down work at sunset on Friday. No emails, no business tasks, just rest. Disconnect. allowing myself to disconnect and focus on my faith, self-care, and family, and not rushing back to work the minute the Sabbath ends, but actually enjoy my weekend. And let me tell you, this has been life-changing. Taking this step has reminded me that we don't always have to be on, and that rest is an act of self-love. Now, if you've been feeling burnt out, I want to encourage you to set clear boundaries for rest. Give yourself permission to pause and honor your need for time away from the noise. Because in order to fully live in your power, you have to be fueled, not drained. So now with February coming to a close, I'm so excited about what's next. March is Women's Month, and we are shifting into a new theme, one that honors, uplifts, and celebrates the power of women. And to make this even more special, I'm expanding the podcast to include interviews with inspiring women who are leaders, change makers, and everyday women who are making a difference. So I want to hear from you. Who would you love to see featured? I do have a few women in mind already. But tell me, what topics around women's empowerment and leadership excites you? So send me a message or comment on social media. I'd love your input as we shape this exciting new chapter. So in wrapping it up, I want to say, so today we reflected on love, connection, motivation, and taking time for ourselves. And here's what I want you to take with you. Stay hopeful. No matter the challenges, keep believing that better days are ahead. Choose kindness in your interactions, in your leadership, and especially towards those struggling. Prioritize rest. Whether it's the Sabbath or simply setting boundaries, honor your need for renewal. And get ready for March. It's Women's History Month, and it's going to be powerful, and I can't wait to share these conversations with you. So here's your challenge for this week. I want you to reach out to someone who needs encouragement. Give them a kind word, because that goes such a long way. Set time to rest without guilt. And share a story of an inspiring woman. Let's lift each other up as we head into Women's Month. I want to thank you for joining me today. And remember to live boldly in your power. And if it gets tough, just breathe. You still got the strength to rise. So until next time, dear listeners, I want you to stay empowered, stay connected, and take care of you as you continue to live in your power.